So you're at WOR-fm, 1440 Broadway, 10018.
Yep.
Burned into our skull, yeah. And the PD is Sebastian Stone. It's a Billboard winning station of the year PD. It's all of that stuff going on. What was that like when you walked in there? And it just, feelings, everything. Take it away.
It's an interesting look at it, because I think around that time, this would have been 1970, think about the changes that were happening between AM and FM. I'll call it the hip and straight concept. It was like, remember, we had fought a Vietnam War, and there were people who were very much in favor of that war. There were those that were opposed to that war. And because of that, they made media choices. I mean, people who were in favor of the war liked Yummy, 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 I Got Lovin' in My Tummy. People who were opposed to the war liked Side 2, Cut 4 of the Fuzzy Snake album, and more than likely they were listening to underground stations. So yeah, it was a first branch. When you think about top 40, well, geez, Barbra Streisand, she was a top 40 artist. Kenny Rogers, he was a top 40 artist. Brenda Lee, she was a top 40 artist. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you got this branch, top 40, which engrossed almost everything. Well, now there was a branch. There was the hip and straight. And guess what? Never the twain shall meet. To this day, it's easy to play 60s oldies and get ratings. It's hard to play 70s oldies and get ratings. It's even harder to play 80s, because every one of those has a branch, okay? You don't just like metal music. You don't like heavy metal. Maybe you like thrash metal, or you like speed metal, or one of the other many different branches now that are divided off of that. You listen to Pandora, and there's probably 1,000 different radio formats on it, or Spotify. And so I think even Sirius XM has probably got 300 channels on it, all diverse and different, all good, but narrowcasted by comparison. It's not just a group. So WOR-fm, I think, was a station that was struggling to find its identity. Yes, it was a Drake station. It had this precision of playing Johnny Man jingles and upbeat jocks, and maybe all of a sudden those upbeat jocks didn't really fit. Sebastian Stone was a hip guy. He was definitely on the hip side of it. His wife was very much into astrology. And here he was, the program director of a highly successful radio station. And I don't think he was comfortable with that. I think that he would have much rather that the radio station had taken kind of a few FM cuts along the way, and had incorporated here's a nice tasty cut off of the Elton John album. Well, and we interspersed that. But it was funny. It was after coming from CK, which played nothing but hits, and then going to WOR-fm, which had a different slant. Granted, they were trying to look for the FM audience. Yeah. And Sebastian was, I think, he was a good programmer. I remember there was a note up on the board. I remember you talked about the cities that were posted on the wall at CK. At WOR-fm, there was a magic marker, and we would write. He encouraged us to write adverbs and adjectives on the wall. Here's a nice slice off of the new Stones album. It was like something you could grab at the wall to add more than the traditional pattern.
Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing those in the control room like that. Maybe did it go on for a long time, or was that sort of ended somewhere? It's interesting.
I don't know. It was a station that was. I looked at it as a station was kind of lost. It was. They couldn't be like the other AM radio stations. At the same point, they couldn't be like the new breed of FM. So.
Yeah, I was sort of. I was thrilled to go there because, as a New Yorker, okay, you're going to New York and all of that stuff. And it was great to be in a battle with WABC, and, and WOR-fm was it was a really nice sounding radio station. But just walking in the door, coming from CK, it was like, ooh, man, this is a letdown, inside, sorry, but this is kind of, there's no comparison to the precision, to the excitement, to the, get up there and do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like here, you're up on the stage, entertain, take it. All of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, but at the same time, I mean, to me, and probably a lot of this comes from. It's funny as you're describing Sebastian. And this sort of it's tweaking me on one of the lessons that I did. It's really tough to program a radio station well when you don't like the music, or it's not really where you're sort of aligned to yourself. And if Sebastian was that way, or he was halfway there, because I knew he did work on other top 40 stations, but now he's in control, and you're going to lean toward your thing. I know when I got there and listening prior, like before I ever even got in radio, I used to listen to that station, and and now looking back at it, it sounded to me in today's term like that station was 50% classic hits.
Yeah.
48% hit top 40.
Right.
And then about 1 or 2% album cuts, but the album cuts were of people of the Four Tops or other acts that were top 40 CHR hits. He didn't go out of, in other words, you're still in the realm of these are top 40 artists and all that sort of stuff. And then, and I don't know, maybe 5-6 months after I got there, which I think I probably got there in maybe October of 71. So somewhere in 1972, all of a sudden, those extra album cuts started to turn into, it's like you're getting a fourth cut on a Moody Blues album. And you're like, well, what are you doing that? Because that doesn't even fit in with the other stuff. And then, so all of a sudden it's like you're kind of blowing up the format. And then, anyway, that's, that was one of the main reasons why I went back to CK, because I thought this is not gonna last. But then again, looking back, it's like, man, you were right to me as a programmer, and this is more like a kind of a programming lesson. Agree or don't agree? Yeah, great to get your sense of this. Looking back, it's like the station was the only FM radio station playing top 40 hits, the only one, the only radio station playing top 40 classic hits, the only radio station on FM playing R&B hits.
Right.
Because WWRL was an AM station that I don't know, barely covered 1/10 of New York City probably. So it's kind of like you're covering 3 formats, and and you're on FM, which already gives you like 10 steps up against the AM stations. It's just a matter of time. Why would you leave that format? And they did. CBS FM took their place. Yeah. And and they're still smoking a log.
If we were going to make a chocolate cake, Pat, we would find all the right ingredients, and we would put those right ingredients inside that cake, and we would bake that cake, and it would be terrific. And the next time we'd make the cake, we'd make it exactly the same way, time and time again. There was no reason to change the format of that great radio station. It was working the way it was.
Yeah.
I know that you were very, you were very vested in being an input into the changes that occurred with it later on. And it seemed like those ideas were rejected.
I wrote, the Drake organization, after I was in Detroit, and I said, to me, if you really want to, smoke, and if you're going to be in trouble with, which they were, the course to go is to turn into a full-blown urban station, or be like CK. Either take it, be like CK, which is, I don't know, a straight ahead top 40 white radio station, really leaning into R&B, or go full-blown urban. Right. And I got shot down like, no, why would we do that? That's crazy, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. 4 years later, the station turns into
exactly what they did.
WRKS with new owners, and has a huge, monstrous success story.
Sure.
And at the time it made sense because there was no FM R&B station on the air. It was only this little tiny little AM. It's like, and then BLS in New York. I mean, I don't know. It seemed, and to be fair, I guess I might not have ever, or you too, might not have ever thought that way had we not spent time at CKLW, where the station is really leaning urban. You're watching the success that it has, and you're hearing it and going, man, this sounds great. Right. I love it better here than I do this.
Yes,
I like this one. this
Yeah.
was great. This one is
Yeah.
okay. But I guess if you're not exposed to that, you wouldn't think that way, or your ear wouldn't adjust to this. This is good. This
Right.
sucks.